Am I mute? Not mute. Okay. Yeah, I'm mute. Okay. Hello, Andy. Thank you so much for helping us out and guiding us through this event of looking glass half full. And we would really like your insight towards the mindfulness, especially in the kind of scenario we are living in. We are trying to think that yes, everything is normal, we are not at any dangerous place, and we just have to go through our everyday schedule as if everything is okay. But we know that in a longer run it is getting a toll over us. Either we're just trying to be busy with either our everyday rituals or work or personal life, but somewhere in the go, just being at one place, not being able to socialize with people, even though those people who are introvert and don't socialize much, they also need little bit of that fresh air. And somehow all of this is getting over their head and they're going into different directions. Everybody's so vulnerable at this point of time. I have seen, if you share a joke with people, they just get completely into a serious zone. And we think that, okay, where the funny side is going. But I totally understand, we are living in this kind of an environment that we are unable to differentiate between when to have fun, when to work, and all of these things have been mixed up. So please go ahead and teach us a little bit about the mindfulness and what are your insights on the present environment.
Right. So I'm gonna take a page out of kind of speech class 101 and start with the operational definition of mindfulness, coming from a gentleman named John Kabat-Zinn, who was somebody who participated in Buddhist meditation throughout his own life, and then became a PhD psychologist, and wanted to sort of to extend his use of mindful practice to his work. And he worked out of the University of Massachusetts Medical School, so he was part of his team was part of some of the initial research on mindfulness. So his basic definition from 2008 is mindfulness is paying attention to something in a particular way on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally. And I think that's an elegant way to define it, in the way that your attention can be directed kind of to anywhere. And so it's scalable throughout a variety of circumstances. You can choose various ways as experiments to try to see what works for you. I think there's some consistencies over time. You mentioned the pandemic, and also in terms of where we're at in terms of school. I think everybody shares this orientation towards being in our own heads, evaluating things. Kind of whatever major people have, there is such an overwhelming component of evaluation. So there can be a wake to that where we finish with our schoolwork for the day, and maybe we draw great boundaries if we're able to, but still our mind is carried over into that evaluation mode. And so mindfulness doesn't always have to be, but for the most part, I think a lot of students benefit more from that getting out of your own head, getting out of self-evaluation, getting into the states that bring us in connection with our senses. So, you could think of active things like exercise can be mindfulness. You can eat mindfully. You can be mindful of how you've spent your time for the last week and try to balance things out. And doing all of this, you would try to do it in a way that is in the present state, is in the act of doing rather than evaluating. And of course, I guess there's a presumption that we're going to continue to evaluate. I think people in general are evaluators, but certainly university students are evaluators. So it's kind of like a way to balance some of the forces that are so overwhelming in school and at the present moment in terms of COVID. Any other specific questions about it going into it? Or does that feel just about right? You're muted. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I just got into the whole discussion. I was like, okay, it's just like, yes, this is one to one. It's not like we have to unmute and then start. So yeah, no, I totally understand. But you know, all those fears. So as you said, that mindfulness is anything where we are making choice that let's just go for a run or let's just have a healthy meal rather than just laze out and have some chips. Things like that. But you know, where to get that motivation from? It is good that yes, this is something that this is how we should be doing it, but sometimes we lack the motivation. You know, we lack the motivation to get out of the bed and go out for the run. So what do you suggest, like how to motivate yourself in day-to-day life?
Right. The metaphor that I oftentimes use with people who I do clinical work with is to think about your life and the experiences that you take in sort of like a metabolic sense, that humans need to experience a variety of things. And again, if you think about school, and certainly if you think about pandemic, there is one very specific type of experience that we get a whole lot of at the expense of some other ones. So one way to overcome the motivation is to think, I need this experience and I'm going to give it a try and set yourself an iteration. So I'm going to give it 5 minutes. I'm not going to try to have the world's best run, the world's fastest run. I'm going to take 5 minutes and run and see if I can make it. And that while I'm doing it, even if I have to take a break and go slower in a walk, or even if I do perfectly at it, I'm going to be in the center of that experience. And any other stimuli, any other self-judgment, any other thinking about your laundry list, any other thinking about the November 3rd election, you're going to say, that's for later. I'm going to put my attention back where I want it. And so, like so many things in life, anybody can follow a recipe for mindfulness, just like you could follow a recipe to make beef Wellington or something like that. But it's the reevaluation and checking to see if everything looks okay. That's the real skill. So the thing that you're practicing, the thing that you're training is the ability to refocus your attention back where you want it.
Yeah, I mean, I understand you're suggesting that just start it. I remember doing it when I was getting overwhelmed with my work. So I had just sticked one note, do it for 5 minutes. And if I can do it for 5 minutes, then probably I will be interested and I'll be just carrying forward it. Absolutely. Do you suggest like regarding, is there a scheduled guideline or things like that to follow in our everyday for mindfulness? Like this is how you break it into chunks through your day, like how to start the morning and your routine. Like, is there a guided thing in mindfulness?
So I would say trying to do a daily practice is probably important. So I think I would be careful with the idea of thinking that there's an exactly right way to do it versus I think for most of us kind of just trying to start somewhere. And I think starting with 5 minutes, but then also orienting yourself towards I'm going to do it daily in the sense of every day, even when I'm doing how I feel, even when I perceive that I'm doing okay, versus trying to do 5 minutes of mindfulness once you're having a panic attack, once you're having a bad day, once you're already stuck in a kind of upset, grumpy, sad, etc. mindset. But the other thing to keep in mind too is that mindfulness is not about pushing out states as well. It's also about, sometimes you want to mindfully be aware of the sad emotional state you're in. But anyway, that's getting away from your question, which is I would just try to start with 5 or 10 minutes a day.
Yeah.
And maybe beginning and end of the day if you're going to go beyond there, and preventative rather than reactive.
Yeah. And what would you suggest to people, for example, uh, people who are going through hard time, they address it and they know that they are having tough time. But if they have some deliverable or responsibility towards others, so how to convey to others without being ashamed of, sometimes people think that, oh, we have failed, even in your small effort. So how to address either to your professors as a graduate student or, either to anyone else that I could not do something because I was not feeling okay. is making this kind of a statement valuable? Will professors understand these kind of statement, or any other colleague, will they understand? And what is the good way to put it upfront, that I was dealing with things this week and I could not work on my thing? What is the right way to do this?
Well, a few things come to mind. First off, I would say it's fairly universal in my work and in my personal experience, having gone to graduate school, that the buildup in my mind is often, I might spend days agonizing about telling somebody something. Or you could even think of my clinical work. If I have sort of bad news, quote unquote, to tell somebody, I might agonize about it. But then when I get to the actual moment and I tell them, I'm almost wincing and ready for them to get angry at me, but then I find that they're okay with it. So if you think about your professors, if you just simply are straightforward and say, listen, this week has been very challenging for me. I'm reacting in the following sorts of ways. I'm wondering if I could have a little bit of an extension, being direct about what you want, which is also to say that excellent, healthy communication is personal in the sense of coming from a state of feelings, that it is specific in terms of what things you're feeling. And then another component of healthy communication is it makes a specific request. So going to your professors and just saying, I'm feeling very overwhelmed this week. It kind of took me by surprise, or this sort of event happened to me, and I have a plan for getting it done by a certain date, and I'm wondering if I could get an extension to there. So then you've contained all of those categories of doing that.
Yeah, totally. I agree. Having a frank conversation is better than, because most of the time we students try to create a, in the good books of the professor, that he should not think that we are being lazy or we are, not on the track. So, but he should also expect that, yeah, we are human and we are okay to feel a lot of emotions every week. So yeah, I think, is there any other question or anything else anyone wants to ask to Andy before we start our exercise? If they are going through something or they would like to learn about mindfulness.
And I thought of one other thing really quick. Is a practice you can do, a type of mindfulness you can do, is sort of trying on the idea of acceptance as well. So accepting your humanity is an important thing, a necessary thing, especially in the modern conceptualization of being a graduate student, of being a professional. So if you've gotten to this stage, like I did and like many people do, where you're struggling to feel like you can be a human in the space of being a graduate student, maybe it's a good time to do some work around sort of radical self-acceptance, which is something that's just sort of been on my mind. I have a mindfulness group this afternoon, and we're going to talk about radical acceptance in this time of challenge.
Yeah. So first, we will have to accept that we are human and we are allowed to feel everything, and then definitely that will be conveyed. So if anyone has question, they can type in the chat, or we can go ahead with the exercise. I'll wait for a few seconds if I see anything. Okay, so I think we can go ahead with the exercise. So I'll just share the PPT or the link. So hi everyone again. So this is a very small exercise that we built to, go through what Andy was just speaking about, that it is an exercise that we should practice every day, but also acknowledging that writing about what I am grateful for, 3 things, might become, boring after, like, I practice this 7 days, but after a time I'll be like, okay, what I'm grateful for now. We have to train our mind to think in that direction, that every little thing that is happening is kind of working into a large scale or large prospect. So I should not undermine any small event that is happening, and shall address it as something that is leading to something big, or not even big. It's completely fine to have little tiny joys in our life. So I have designed this exercise, and I would suggest that either we can go through all the exercise every day, or we can just pick one question and exercise it one day, then the second question, exercise it the other day. So yeah, let's go ahead. So before starting this exercise, I would want all of you to be very relaxed in wherever you are, in whatever position you think is the most comfortable for you. So just try to detach yourself from your, all the outer worries right now. Just for the next 10 to 15 minutes, just be with yourself and don't think about what will be happening half an hour from now or 2 hours from now. Just be with yourself. Sit very comfortably wherever you are. Shake your feet and shake your hand a little bit. Let the blood flow and close your eyes. Take a deep breath. This is the whole process about breathing. The more deep breath you are taking, more you are relaxing your body. So we are just trying to relax your body. Take a deep breath and close your eyes and start visualizing your own body. Just think about how blessed your body is, how each of your organs are working properly. Start by maybe your head, focus on your head. Take the deep breath. Continue on taking deep breaths. Focus on your breath, how it is going through the nostril, then going into your lungs, and it is going all over your body. In all this process, definitely there are multiple thoughts that are coming up in your mind. Let it go. I mean, don't impose on it. Whatever thoughts you're having, have it, but do not stress on it. Treat it like a wind. Whatever thought is coming, let it come, let it pass away. In the whole process, just try to smile a little bit. Put a slight smile on your face and keep on breathing. Just feel that your body is getting relaxed. You're getting out of all your worries. Keep smiling. Take the deep breaths. Embrace all the thoughts that are coming to your mind. There is no rush. Be with yourself. Embrace whatever you are thinking. And take the deep breath. After 2 breaths, we'll start one vibration we will produce. That is the chant of the Om. So take the deep breath. Release it slowly. Again, take it. Release it slowly. After this breath, we will chant the Om. Take the deep breath. Release it slowly. Take the breath for Om. Again, breathe in. Again, take the deep breath. Now try to acknowledge whatever is around you, and very slowly, whenever you feel comfortable, open your eyes and keep on breathing. That is one thing that is essential for us. So you can come out of the meditation. So this was the whole process, just to make yourself feel relaxed and calm. I will check I need to, and calm yourself down. Why is this essential before starting these kind of exercise? This is very, very helpful for any kind of concentration. And I'll suggest not just before this exercise, but any big thing you do or anywhere where you feel I need to concentrate fully, just go through this process. Just concentrate on your breathing. Try to relax your body. do not stress over your thoughts. Let everything come around in your mind, but don't choose one and then follow that, because that's the lead. Like, we choose one thought and then we start weaving the whole thing. So let everything come and go. Everything is existing, but you're not going to choose a single thought. You're just trying to relax your body. The importance of chanting Om, there are multiple research, if you will ever look into it, that whenever you chant Om, these are the high vibrational frequencies. It certainly aligns your mind, and because our body is what? Water. So even if, like, there are some kind of music which which when you play over the water, you can see a lot of different formations happening, and with the Om we have seen the perfect energy assemblance forming over the water with these kind of vibrations. So this is an important vibrational music, you can say, which you can produce yourself. So yeah, moving ahead, once you have done your meditation, just take your notebook and pen and think about any three things that you are grateful. Okay, so the very first thing is definitely just write whatever you felt during your meditation. I was speaking, so I practically didn't feel much because I could not concentrate on my meditation. But whoever did the meditation, just write down what you went through. What did you feel? Did you feel, although it was a very small meditation, so did you feel relaxed? How did your breath feel? Um, how did your Om chant feel, or any thought that came into your mind? So just write it briefly. I'll just pause for a minute so that you can write it. If anyone has not written it, you can ask me to stop. So I'm assuming all of you have written whatever you felt during the meditation. And if you're comfortable, if you want to share, or if you felt really something outstanding, speak up by unmuting yourself. Otherwise, we can move ahead, because this whole exercise is frankly for yourself. So you have to learn how to do it. That's it. If you want to share, you can share. Otherwise, we can move ahead to the next exercise.
Yeah, so I kind of plugged this into the chat. So when I usually try to meditate, I try to find my third eye. So somewhere over here. They say it's linked to an organ. It's called the pineal gland. Helps with sleep regulation. But third eye, it's widely prevalent in Hindu mythology. And yeah, I do not know if it's true or not, but I try to visualize a ball of energy that's right in between both of my eyes, slightly higher, because your mind is more active. So your mind has a little gravitational pull to it. And I just concentrate on that one fact. And that helps me to recenter. And I find that really helpful, especially after I got my surgery in my left knee. It helps recenter, uh, just my thinking. And that goes a long way, because walking is pretty much directed by your thinking. Yeah, I mean, that's usually what happens to me when I close my eyes. And sometimes when I try to fall asleep, it's pretty much the same thing. It's like um, you cannot sleep or try to fall asleep if you're anxious or if you're going through something uh, by telling yourself to try to fall asleep. You have to tell yourself, don't fall asleep, or do something else, and then that's how you fall asleep. It's paradoxical, but that's what's worked with experience. Yeah.
Yeah, completely. Yeah, I believe, like, whenever you meditate, every time it's a new experience. At least for me, every time I felt something different. I felt something different. Yeah, yes, Alex, whenever we
Exactly. Yeah.
whenever we are not supposed to. Totally true.
I get the best sleep before an exam. It's like I know I'm supposed to stay up for 24 hours, but whoa, I get like the best sleep, and I
Yeah,
sleep like sick. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. So
totally. No, yes, and that's true. Like what you were saying, it's in our mind. I totally believe that it is how they say train your dragon. I always believe that train your mind. You can do anything. And whenever I say this thing, people are, no, it's not true. Not everyone can do everything. But I don't know. I have a huge belief in anyone can do anything. The only thing is convincing your mind that I can do it. If there is a certain percent of doubt in your mind that I cannot do it, that is where, fine, you cannot do it. And also to feel the energy that we hold the whole energy within. It's all about channeling it. I do this whenever I forget. I do this small exercise that is like pressing your hand like this and then pressing your hand like this over here, like just make some blood flow in your hand. And like how we see in this superhero thing, just try to bring these two together, but don't bring together, very slowly make them opposite to each other. And when you move it very slowly, you'll feel like there is a kind of a magnet thing happening, there is a repulsion happening, there is something which is not letting it you know touch to each other. So that is something which I feel very excited about. Whenever I forget, I'm like, okay, this is the energy I have. And yes, so you correctly said it that with meditation, everyone feels different kind of thing, and you have your third eye going on. That's good. So let's move on to our
I,
next.
I wanted to chime in really quickly too. Sorry,
Yes.
the nature of my job is I have to get caught up on some paperwork, so I had myself muted. But I'm a big fan. Like one of the few sort of like traditional practices that I always tend to do is the begging bowl when I actually meditate, where you put your hands something like this.
Okay.
It's similar to the phenomenon of doing this, where you feel the repulsion. Only this, it's like the goodwill, the positives that you have, or the things that you're unburdening yourself with. You put it kind of like at your sacrum, like at your navel, and it's like you can almost feel it sort of weighing down. So that's the begging. It's
Okay.
something. It's also something to do with your hands, so you don't feel awkward while you're doing it.
Yeah, I have heard like you have like different mudras. Maybe you go like this, go like this, but I really don't know what each of them means. So is there like any relevance of like putting your thumbs and like this when you meditate?
It's like an ascetic from, traditionally I presume would have been from India, where, the Buddha did some periods as a beggar, so it's called the begging bowl. It's like putting your hand like please give me something.
Okay.
So that's what I've heard that my teachers had called that the begging bowl.
Okay. That's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah.
Even when I go through, so I go through like a series of first breathing and then meditating. It takes me like half an hour, 40 minutes, depending upon how my environment is sometimes. And every time the experience is different and it is surreal. I can never explain how I felt like if, after every time. For example, I'm very passionate about Himalayas. So whenever I go to Himalayas, that is my happy place. And whenever I do meditation, so after that what I feel is exactly like something when I go to Himalaya. So yeah, and but there are days when I don't feel anything, so maybe I am not able to train my mind properly. Anyway.
There's also a video I've shared in mindfulness groups that I've had. It's the Dalai Lama himself, who I'm not saying you have to accept him as the world's authority or anything, but he is a religious figure, and he himself says that you do mindfulness because it feels excellent, not because of salvation for other lives. And if it happens to help with those things, wonderful. But he suggests every man, woman, and child should meditate because it feels good.
True, true. Yeah, I had like privilege of meeting him once when I had went to Dharamshala, and he has like his whole monastery over there. And by my good chance, he was available there. So it's like you have to make whole pre-appointment, but I was with a group of scientists, so I could get a check-in. So that was surreal. That was good.
Well, I'm just like a true psychologist. I'm just full of good ideas. But I wanted to make everybody aware that if you weren't already aware, that maybe more for when the world gets back to quote unquote normal, that there's the Tibetan Cultural Center in Bloomington. That I would love to go to Sri Lanka and see the Dalai Lama himself. but in the moment, it's, I mean, actually, the Tibetan Cultural Center in Bloomington at least used to be run by the brother of the Dalai Lama. But there's a whole Tibetan community in Bloomington, which if you want to kind of experience the culture or just a serene location to do mindfulness practices, that there's one a lot closer than we might realize.
Yeah, I never knew this. I used to go to the national park that Bloomington has, and there is this Ebb County Lodge all into the woods. So I like going there. Never knew this. Thank you for sharing this.
I also wanted to chime in. One other thing is that somebody said they fall asleep. Falling asleep, I mean, you don't want to like fall asleep like Rip Van Winkle and wake up 10 minutes before your final, of course. But for many of us, falling asleep is a good state. You know, it's a, you know, we encourage people in mindfulness group to fall asleep because people so universally are very tense, and you know, stress from school is so linked with sleep problems. So I think sleeping is great. It's sort of the end stage of relaxation.
Yeah, true. Having a sound sleep is like, yes, you are completely healthy.
If you, for those, well, nobody here has done therapy with me, but one thing that I've known to say during initial appointments with people, when I always ask people about sleep, and a line that I oftentimes say is, even if I was the world's best therapist, which spoiler alert, I'm probably not, that even if I was the best therapist in the entire world in history, if you're not getting good sleep at night, you're probably not going to make a lot of, you're not going to get the change that you're looking for. So sleep is so essential. And if you're not getting good sleep, I recommend everybody here seek some sort of medical attention, you know, at least to get you over that initial hump, to get back to sleep, and maybe make the goal to not have to take medications. But I think sleep is absolutely essential. It's part of what regulates our bodies.
True, true. I completely agree. Um, let's move ahead to our next exercise, that is writing about the gratefulness. So gratefulness is very vast thing. It can be in each tiny moment that we are living right now, and it can also be about those momentary things that we wait for or we long for whole through our life. So we have to learn how to be grateful for, both of this. We can definitely think about those grand things that happened in our life, and yes, I'm grateful for that thing that happened. But what about you woke up very happy today? What about you could go out and have a fresh air and could see the bright sun shining, see the geese flying and everything. So all these tiny moments which bring joy, just in those moments, are also something to be grateful for. In fact, the very small essence that you can breathe properly, because believe me, I know there are people who struggle to breathe. They want to breathe, but they can't breathe because of their lung capacity and things like that. So to be grateful for that, even I can take this deep breath, hold it, and then release it according to my, will. It's not like I have to really, really work hard to breathe. So to understand that every tiny thing that is around us is not to be taken for granted, but to be given a gratitude towards. For example, if you if you plant trees or small herbs or things like that, and if they are growing properly in your backyard, that is something to be grateful for, because there are people struggling to have that. So acknowledging that wherever you are, there are definitely tons of people who had been thriving to be at where you are. So let's just think about gratefulness in this aspect, and go ahead and write any one thing or three things that you think you are grateful for, either as a student or if you can think as your individual identity. So whatever you feel grateful for. So you can just go ahead and write anything that you feel grateful for. I'll wait for a minute or two. So stop me if you are still writing. Otherwise, I'm assuming that you have written. And if anyone feels comfortable and wants to share with all of us what they feel grateful for today, please do so. Otherwise, we'll go ahead. Okay, so that's good. I'll move ahead with our next exercise. And this, understand, this is just for you. So you have to do it every day, every once in a week, whenever you feel, you know, that you should schedule this in your whole timeline, and you must do this. I'll just suggest this thing. So let's move ahead to the next thing, that is writing about manifestation. When it comes about cringing, students are the students are the, you know, prime mob who cringe about, oh, I didn't get this, I didn't get that, and things like that. But just believe in the power of words, that whatever you say, that comes true. If you'll focus on, I did not do this, I do not have this, you will be tending towards that which you do not have, rather than when you start looking towards, I do have this, I am this, you will start making that kind of repository in your life. So it is extremely important that the choice of the word that you do. For example, very very casually we just say, oh, the aura is very negative, the whole thing is going terrible. But you know, choice of the word, rather than saying I am angry, you can choose to say I am not feeling that okay right now. It makes a huge difference even to yourself, because the moment you realize I am angry, you'll get more and more angry, because there are some not so positive connotation with certain words. So words do hold power. And believe me on this, that, and I think many of you might also have come across this, you know, that we just randomly say certain thing that I wish I could do this one day. And very randomly we might have said, and then cut to, you are in a state of deja vu, you are living that life, you are having those things, and then you are just remembering, oh my god, I never thought about it, but at one time I had written this, I had done that. So it is very important to manifest, and conscious manifestation is the best, I feel. That definitely, as I said in the very beginning, that I believe that our mind is capable of doing anything, and we are capable of doing anything. It's just that we have to convince our mind. So to convince our mind, we must manifest. Like, for example, if you want to say, I want to be, I want to be the 30 under 30, on the cover page of Forbes, or I want to be the one winning the Nobel Prize. You do not know how it is going to happen, but you must write it, because unless you acknowledge it, there is no way you are going to get it. So you shouldn't be the person who is creating barrier for yourself. I'll just give a very brief example that I don't even know. I was invited for a spring reception, and I was given a card, like, those name tag card. And at that, my fellowship, like, I had been awarded the Lynn Fellowship when I had joined the college. So that fellowship name was written, and my civil engineering department was written. And when I came back, I was like, okay, what do I do with this tag? Do I throw it away? Do I keep it? And I'm like, okay, let's just keep it. And very randomly, I had just written over it, NASA fellow. And I had no idea how I'm going to do it, what I'm going to do it. I had never thought about it. I had never met anybody, who has done this procedure so that they can guide me. And I had just written it, and I had clipped it somewhere in my room where I'd never used to even see. But randomly, whenever I'll be doing some cleaning, I'll be seeing it. And cut to the day I received the fellowship award, I got the email. It was hard for me to believe, because, for all those things. And then again, when I was cleaning, I saw that. And then that was the deja vu moment for that. Oh my God, I had, at some point, I had believed that I'll do it. So these are like very tiny examples that we create for ourselves. So when you will also think, you'll believe in it. So I'll just say that practice it every day or every once in a week. as I said, whichever you want to make your schedule, manifest the thing that you want to live. And one after another, the universe will conspire you to be at the right place at the right moment, because that is where the magic happens. So please go ahead and write your manifestations. So the essential part in writing manifestation is, don't write that, oh, I want to become this or I want that. Rather, write it as if you are living this. For example, I am this thing, or I am there, that kind of thing. So just write your manifestations, and I'll wait for a minute or two, and then we'll move ahead. Okay, so stop me if I am interrupting you guys, or if you have written it. Let's move ahead. If anyone wants to share their manifestation, what they have manifested, because it is very essential to, but to the right bunch of people. Right bunch means what? People who put positivity in your thoughts, not the people who will be jealous of your, ambitions or your thoughts. So it is very, very essential to attract all the positive insights in your dream, rather than having a question marks in your dream. For example, you choose a friend and you tell your friend that, oh, you know what, I'm planning to do this. If your friend is putting a question over it, that is not something, of course, being realistic is something important, but going crazy is also important, because you should never limit what you want to dream about. So you should convey it to those kind of people who you think will be somebody who can help you in certain ways. So definitely talk about your manifestations to the bunch of people whom you think will add the positive energy in your manifestation. So I will move ahead with the next exercise, and that is things that are bothering you. So just now, what I said, that it is very important to being a realist, and as Andy also addressed in the very starting, that acknowledging your present moment, whatever feelings you have, just acknowledge it, good, bad. You don't have to be the decisive person for that thing. Whatever is bothering you, something is troubling you, do not just ignore it, that okay, okay, let's cut it, I'm okay, because all of that gets piled up and you went out in a very different form. So I'll suggest that just go ahead, and there might be thing that you might be ignoring, that I just don't want to think about it, or I just don't want to go about it. So just write it very casually, whatever words, because trust me, when you are writing about what's bothering you, you don't have to think. Your pen will just go on that this is the thing. If you don't want to write, you can even talk about things that are bothering you in present. Why is this? Is it essential? Because A, definitely there are some issues that are big, and right now you can't do anything about it other than just embracing it, that yes, I am living with this problem or this issue. B, sometimes those problems are just in our head. I mean, we are thinking about, for example, what other person is thinking, those kind of issues. So they are not real. They are something that we have made up ourselves. So we ourselves will gain some perspective in it. And also to the problems, which is really huge and big, once you start talking about it, once you start writing about it, once you start sharing about it, you will gain certain perspective and get the energy to go through it and come out of it. So please go ahead and write what is that something that is bothering you. Okay, stop me if I'm interrupting you guys. But if any one of you wants to talk about something that is bothering you, and we also have Andy who can literally help us. Yeah, yeah. Sometimes just talking to ourselves is a lot easier, but it is okay to, even talk about our issues and our thing, and we can have different perspective, which we might not be thinking about, or we might not be looking in that direction. So, yes, if you want, you can go ahead and talk about it. Otherwise, we can definitely move to the next one. Okay, moving forward to the last exercise that I would suggest you guys please do is writing a thank you note. And this is a part of gratitude that whatever is happening around you, when you start looking into the tiny details of it, every day somebody is helping you in some way. Sometimes you yourself are helping you in certain way. So just write about whatever you are thankful for. So write a small thank you note. Either it is to yourself, either it is to your plant, to your pets, to your friend, to your family, to your surrounding, to anything. But just make a habit of thanking people, and just write it in a short word. I usually draw, small pictures, or write things about, and then I send the screenshots to the people I want to say thank you. And sometimes if I'm not in that creative zone, I just write a thank you to the person or to myself, and then just click it and send it to that person. Let them also feel that you are acknowledging their effort, and let yourself also feel that you are acknowledging whoever is helping you and whatever positive is going on in your life. So please go ahead and write a small thank you note for anybody. Just think about today or yesterday, anything, or in a week. Okay. And definitely for today, I am honestly very thankful to Andy to host this event and be part of it and giving his insights, because it is very important to get a check on how we are doing things. So my thank you note for today is to Andy, that thank you so much. And similarly, if you guys also have any thank you note to anyone you want to share, then please share. Otherwise, this was our last exercise. And what I would like to suggest that these are like section of 3 or 4. So, and as I say, for anything, practice makes it perfect. Every day you go through different kind of thing, and it might be that every day you would not like to write about what you are grateful for. So maybe pick the other one, what is bothering you. Next day, maybe pick the other one, what are you thankful for. Maybe pick the other one, what you want to manifest. But please go inside and live with yourself for a moment, at least for 5 minutes a day. Sit with yourself and think about yourself and write about it and go about it. That is what I would like to say. And this is what our exercise was about. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Alka. Thank you, Andy. Um, very nice exercise. A lot of stuff I'm grateful for. Sorry I couldn't share it. But yeah, mainly my partner, my family, my health, and also that everything is a little okay right now. It's not in the best place with the pandemic, but um, yeah. Any other thoughts from anyone else?
No, I think like something like this is like really valuable just because like with like how busy everyone is, it's like easy to like lose perspective, I guess. Like it's easy to never like be mindful. I mean, I'm personally am rarely mindful. Like I try to avoid being mindful just because it's just like, I don't know, stressful, you know, like, but sometimes just like, taking the time to do it is just helps ground you.
Totally. And it somehow gives perspective. For example, we never know and we get into so many things and we get deviated from what we authentically, I'll say, would like to devote our time in. For example, I would sometimes never know where my time is going. What am I doing whole through the day? And at the end, I'm still, being anxious about, oh, this thing is not done, that thing is not done. So I started making these mindful choices that Andy addressed about in this starting. I deleted my Facebook. I felt like this is the biggest achievement I have done because it is a whole process. They don't let you delete just in that moment. They look for your temptation that you're going to come back, you're going to come back, you're going to waste your time over Facebook. Because honestly, I never used Facebook for, I know there are multiple good uses of social media, but I never used for, any of that kind of purpose. I was just so that I remain connected with old friends. That's it. But it was taking a toll on me. So to delete it and do not go back there as an escape, to run away from, whatever I'm finding difficult, I deleted. And it took like a month that they deleted my account. I think that is their procedure. And I felt like I achieved something. Similarly, I installed my Instagram. It's like these are the mindful choices I made. Then picking that I need to bring soda or those packaged item chips and anything in my home. I'm not going to keep it here, so I'm not going to eat it. In starting, it felt like I'm punishing myself, but after that it became my habit. So these small choices, and I could make it because I could sit with myself, I could talk with myself, I could write about these things and acknowledge that yes, I am going through these issues. Yes, this is and you yourself come up with certain solution that yes, this is the solution to it. And that is what I'll say, that being mindful is mindful towards your lifestyle, towards yourself is. And it is extremely important. And as I said, it might be that we might not be able to practice all the 4 exercises every day, but I'll say at least pick one, sit with yourself, relax yourself for 5 to 10 minutes and just think about yourself and write any of these exercises that I'll suggest. Thank you.
One thing actually a couple things I wanted to say was that first, it's a technique we do in our mindfulness groups of what we call boxing, where you just maybe you write something, you're about to go into a meeting or something, and you write something that's been stressing you out on a piece of paper and crumble it up and put it in something. Gestalt psychology, well, no, existential psychology has a more colorful term for it. They call it an effort box, only they don't use the word effort. And then the second thing is if you're struggling to connect with something that's thankful, one thing we did in last week's group is we had a reading of this poem called Thank You Life. So I'm going to put that in the chat too.
Yeah, please do that. It reminded me of a Bollywood song. So, yeah.
I think maybe, I don't think it quite got all of it, but if you Google the poem "Thank You Life," but you see the pattern is just thanking each of your senses, thanking each of your parts. It makes me think of the Cat Stevens song. Like there's the one that like if I ever lose my mouth and so on and so like losing the senses, losing parts of your body. Anyway, kind of learning to appreciate the things that we have and the things that we could lose. So, and in closing, I remind everybody that mindfulness is about doing, it's about giving yourself permission to go into doing and take a break on thinking and reflecting.
Yes, with this note, I think we'll end this session. And again, thank you, Andy, and thank you everyone for joining. And I will hope that you will gain something from here and make your life better. Thank you.